Is there anyone on this panel that can say they understand that the New York SAFE Act, in all its portions, is actually entirely wrong because of its divisiveness and also the ability to, in the future, go further or to have the public accept future encroachments? Does anyone see the entire bill as each part, and instead of thinking, oh, that's a good part and this is a good part, does anyone see it completely as having caveats?
You're up.
Yeah, my position is that I think a lot of the stuff that we talk about as being good could have and should have been done a long time ago. And there's no reason that Kendra's law wasn't done, kind of a disgrace that it wasn't done a long time ago. We should have taken care of a lot of this stuff. So as I said, I'm not swallowing your poison because you surrounded it by a little bit of sugar. So my belief is that the whole bill is such a nightmare that the whole thing needs to be flushed. And we start over again and we have a mature, reasoned, level-headed conversation. And how much further do you need to go than slamming people that use guns illegally? You don't have to go a lot further than that. We can take care of the mental health side of things separately. We can increase vehemently the penalties for illegal guns because overwhelmingly that's where our problem lies, illegal handguns. All that stuff can be done. My belief is the whole thing should be gone and start over again. I will be signing on to Kathy's bill because I think that that is a good bill as well, but my preference would be get rid of it all, start over again, and I can tell you that the debate, well, the talk we're having here is more than they got to do in the Senate because, you know, poor Senator, first day on the job, gets hit with this nightmare. It just was, it was a travesty. It was an abuse of power. It was an abuse of you, the taxpayer. It's a nightmare of a situation. And you know what? When you see this level of resistance, this isn't just because you got a small group of people. The more people read about this bill, the less they like it and the more angry they become. This is right in our DNA as Americans. You come after our God-given rights, and that's not going to stand. I will say this, it's the Bill of Rights, not the Bill of Permissions, and he did not have permission to take our rights.
You know, unfortunately, now that I've been there for 2 months down at the Senate, I can tell you what happens to some of the bills, and I stood up and complained about it when I voted no. But the Kendra's Law bill, as what Steve was just talking about, and Mark's Law had been a bill that had been out there for quite some time. You can't get the Democrats to pass those bills on their own. They will not pass laws for some reason that helps emergency services people, or helps other people when it's penalties more on criminals. And I look at that and I shake my head as to why would you not want to pass such a law? But those bills have been out there for a long time. So what happens is when you want to have all this other stuff, then the Democrats will put in Mark's Law, and they'll put in Kendra's Law, and they'll allow tougher penalties on crimes. That wasn't their part, that was part from the Republican House. So for me to say, okay, let's just start over again on individual bills with the good stuff, it will never, ever pass. And that's why I left it in.
One thing we hear a lot of is, why not just enforce what's on the books? We've got enough laws. And I can tell you in Albany, and that's really where we should start. If you repeal the whole thing, let's look at what's on the books now. And if we're enforcing it, and I can tell you in Albany, and we get this a lot, and Steve and I share this fate because we have a house that's dominated by inner city and downstate. And the culture there, and we had a little discussion, the congressman and myself and the senator over the weekend, last Saturday, matter of fact, Columbia Green. There's a culture there that's so different from ours. They don't get it. And to us, the firearm is part of our culture. It's hunting, it's tradition, it's sport. To them, it's a weapon. But what they don't get, if it's not a gun, it's a rock, it's a piece of glass, it's a broken bottle, it's their bare hands attacking each other. So what happens is you get these cultures and these bills in Albany that reduce penalties, that are softer on crime. I have a friend, he's a senator, he uses the term hug-a-thug. You know, he calls the bills hug-a-thug bills. And the whole premise is make people responsible and be accountable. That's part of as Americans, we're responsible. We accept our rights and responsibilities, and we accept consequences. Well, if we enforce what's on the books to begin with, maybe we didn't have this conversation.